So in this video we reach to the environment variables. So basically we'll see what they are and how to define them, and also how to use the predefined environment variables. So stick with me to find out more about this. Hello and what's up guys, Medium Guy here. I hope you're enjoying my video series about Linux, and in this video I'll try to talk about the environment variables and how to set custom environment variables, also how to persist them for every new session that we make, and also we'll have a talk about the predefined environment variables that is available in every shell that we create. So without any delay, let's get down to work. So as I mentioned, some environment variables are set by the Linux itself, and also beside these variables, we can set our own, but the problem would be that every time we remove the current session of the terminal, all the values that we set will be removed. So later we'll see how to persist them, so that we can access the variables for every new shell that we create. So in order to create a environment variable, we'll simply define its name and set a value. So the first thing, I'm going to define a name for my environment variable, like for example I'll say test is equal to any value that I want, like for example I'll say hello, and if I hit enter, now I have a test variable set to the current session of the terminal that I am in right now. So if I try to access the test variable's value, I'll simply use the echo, but in order to access the value of the environment variable, I'll need the $sign, so I'll say $test. And if I hit enter in here, I'll see that the hello is returned from the command that I just ran. So basically this variable is only accessible in the current session of the terminal that I am running right now. And if I close this session and try to create a new one, this variable won't be available. So let's see it in action. Here I'll try to again create a new session, and if I say echo $test, I'll see that it returns nothing. So the reason behind this is that every time I try to create a new terminal, it will check for the profile files and it will try to initialize my terminal. So if I hit ls-la in here, I can see that I have a .profile inside the home directory of the user that I logged in with, and as we know it has a dot in the beginning of it, so it is a hidden file, so maybe you won't be seeing this normally in your explorers. So if I try to nano the dot profile in here, I see that some code is written inside this, and this is the file that the shell tries to initialize itself with. So in here we can see that it tries to include the .bashrc file inside the home directory of the user. So I'll exit this and I'll try to nano the bashrc file. In here I see that it is also a file that contains some code in it. So basically this is the profile, the setup of every user. It can differ for any other users, and it is also editable, so we can add or remove our custom code here. So like for example, I'll try to add my test variable over here and check if the variable exists and accessible for every other shell that I create. So I'll move to the end of the file. In here I'll say test equals hello, and I'll hit Ctrl X, Y enter to save the file. And again, if I nano that file, at the end of it I see that my changes has been applied to this file. So if I try to log out and try to enter the shell again, if I say echo $test, I should be able to access the value of it. So I hope you understand the process of how to persisting our required variables. So that's one thing that we can do in the bashrc file. So I'll try to again nano the bashrc file, and I'll try to move to the down below. In here we can create aliases. So basically an alias is a command that does our custom commands with only one command. So like for example, I want to create an alias which will cd into a directory and immediately will try to ls all the files in it. So the keyword is alias. Next I'll try to define its name. So I say cd ls. It can be any name that you want, and it will be equal to cd $0 and the ls command. So basically this $0 over here is a variable which contains the parameters that I pass to a command. So if I save the file, in here let's see if the changes has been applied. So if I say cd ls, so as we can see it has not been applied because the bashrc file only is called at the first time that I try to create a new shell. So if I exit again, I'll try to log back in. I'll say cd ls and I see I have an autocomplete, and I'll pass the 4yt directory if I hit enter. So here I made a mistake because the $0 stands for the exact command that is being run at the moment, and I had to change it to $1. So in here I'll say cd $1 and ls to complete our alias. I'll hit save, and next I should log out and log back in to the terminal. And if I say cd ls a directory, it will first try to cd into that directory and then ls all the files in it. So this is what an alias and how to create one. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we have some environment variables that are set by the Linux shell itself. So like for example, we have the $path variable. If I echo it, as we can see, I didn't define it, but it has some value in it. So basically $path is a key environment variable which includes all the directories that contains all the commands. So basically when we try to run a command, the shell will try to check all the paths that are defined inside the $path variable, and if the command that we want to run at that moment exists in that directory, it will run it, and if not, it will throw an error saying that the command does not exist. So as we can see, the directories have been divided by colons, and also if we want to add a new directory including our own commands, like for example we try to install some new tools, so we should add that directory in the $path variable, so we'll be able to run those commands from anywhere, any location and any directory inside the terminal. So we have another variable which is $home. If I hit enter, I see that it includes the full path for the home directory of my user that I've been logged in with. Next we have a variable called $random, so I'll say echo $random. If I hit enter, every time we'll see that it returns a random value. So basically it will try to generate a number between 0 and 32,767. Next up we have a variable called $UID. I'll hit enter. So basically this is the user ID which is uniquely set to any user that is defined in this machine. Next we have another variable called the PWD, which is the working directory which is set by the cd and initially set to the $home value. Like this, we have some other variables that are predefined by the terminal itself. So that's it for this video. I hope you'll learn something new in this one. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask me in the comment section down below. If you want me to go deeper in this, just again go ahead and ask me in the comment section. Also, don't forget to watch my previous videos. We've learned some really cool stuff in the previous videos. And also don't forget to like and subscribe. And with that, I hope to see you in the next videos.